So in this next section, removing the obstacles, we're going to talk about just that. And my first question is to Nick. Nick, you told us a great story about how your host team was able to create a record-breaking day on just 2 days' notice. Can you share that story with the audience?
Sure, absolutely. So the higher-ups basically just said, hey, we kind of want a shot in the arm for this upcoming weekend, and they wanted to do a bridge mailer. But it was 2 days notice, so the company that we'd normally have the printouts of the bridge mailer couldn't do it. And they were like, okay, well, maybe we'll do like an email blast. But the company we used to do the email blast couldn't do it. They needed 3 days notice. And they turned and looked at me and like, can you do it through Trio? I'm like, yeah, done. Give me a couple minutes. So we set up this big text blast saying, hey, just for the VIPs, you have free play. You have a fun event. We're going to come down. We're going to do it this upcoming Friday with literally 2 days notice. And we sent it out, and that Friday, it was unbelievable. So we had a whole big thing planned that weekend for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And for Friday, we made more on Friday than we did on Saturday and Sunday combined, just from VIP players, because everyone that was here were the top tier people. And that was done just on and it looked like their host was specifically saying like, hey, you know, Joe Schmo, come down and play with us. But it wasn't. It was just me behind a computer, and the entire thing was done in like 20 minutes. So yeah, it was pretty impressive. We got a lot of attaboys from the higher ups from that one, but it was amazing how fast it was done, and the outcome was just it exceeded my expectations. So it was awesome.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's a great story. Lindsay, you have an interesting story as well. So you come in with an established set of new operating metrics to evaluate your host's performance. Now, tell us, how did that translate into moving the needle on your own business?
Sure. Well, first of all, our coded players per quarter has gone way up, which is pretty significant, and higher value guests are receiving a host quicker, which is really important. But something else we've been able to do is market seemingly unremarkable days and have them become remarkable. In mid-February, I think I saw a meme about 222 Tuesday, and so I was like, that sounds like something a gambler would be interested in. And so we took that day, which is Tuesday is one of our least busy days of the week, and we created a whole promotion around it. So 2 people won $222, and then 2 of their friends got $22, and we just really had fun with the 2s. And because we didn't have a whole lot of time to promote it, we used the tools that we had, and specifically we were able to send mass texts to our players, but personalize them so that it looks like it's coming from the host individually, and it's got their name on it, so every single person just thinks they're getting this personal text. And that was not only the largest Tuesday we'd ever had, but it was also the highest rated head count we had in the house since pre-COVID. So it was remarkable. And to the point where the other departments were kind of mad at us because they had not staffed appropriately for a Friday when it was just a Tuesday. So, we learned some lessons there about communication internally, but it was a pretty cool day.
That's great. That's great. This is actually, it's an interesting topic because sometimes we talk about yielding to non-performing days, because they're like all casinos face this. There is going to be some non-performing days during the course of the week, and the obvious question that the decision maker will have is, how do I get that to become how do I yield play to those non-performing days? And the one thing that I really like about Nick's story and also kind of dovetailing on Lindsay's story is that you were trying to yield to certain days, and you didn't have enough time to actually put something together. You used the tools and the mechanisms that you had to actually drive play and drive activity on specific days. Nick, all player development teams, they have to deal with administrative tasks, and this is kind of a hard thing for many host teams to avoid. Can you talk about how you've been able to free up your host time from your hosts from doing all like the administrative types of activities?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, we implemented Trio. It was like not to use the analogy of like giving a caveman fire, but it was like giving a caveman fire, because it's normally when you want to book, like if you want to just book a room, you call down to reservations. There's no priority placement. You wait in the queue with everyone else. You talk to the booking agent. Best case scenario, it takes 7 minutes. If it's on a Friday or Saturday, 10, 15 minutes on a call. And we booked 488 rooms from the host this past month. That adds up. All those 7 to 15 minutes. It definitely adds up. And it's the hard part about it is when we hire a host, I don't hire you for your administrative skills. Like there's a very skill set that a host needs to have. Like you need to have an outgoing personality, the tenacity to go get them. But we actually had a host that was the best host on campus, but man, she couldn't do the administrative stuff. It's like all the stuff is not very good. Now it doesn't really matter because booking a room now, I can book a room while one-handed while walking to the casino. And the first time I actually booked a room was from my couch, and it took less than 30 seconds. And that's just plugging in, hitting buttons, hitting send, and then a couple seconds later, a text message came up that's like, it's confirmed, and then I hit a button, and then it sends the confirmation text to the guest, and it's like, wow, that was done. It's over. So it's streamlining that process and using the technologies to get rid of that administrative stuff. It may not seem like a lot of time, depending on how your casino uses its process, but it can be better. And every second that you shave off is more time that your hosts, who are not designed to do administrative work, that's not what they do best. What they do best is schmooze and talk and get guests in. So the more time you free up to do what they do best, the more Theo that goes into the casino. And yeah, now that we found fire, we're never going back. These cases took off.
This is kind of a great one that you talk about, which is like the process of booking rooms, because there's a lot of back and forth sometimes that happens when you're actually booking a room. And like in the process, likely before Trio, you had to either call up the front desk or you had to email them, and then there's like this like almost this bifurcated communication channel where you're trying to pick things out of emails or phone conversations, or you meet somebody in the hall and you're saying, oh, I need to book their hotel. They're a VIP player. They want a suite that's on the top floor. And that can be a challenge to do if you don't have a tool to actually manage all those conversations.
Absolutely. And what's crazy is the options that we were thinking about. How could we make this better? And it kept coming down to, oh, let's just have the host book their own rooms. And it's like, oh, great. Now we're going to teach them a new program. It's like talking about like slowing us down even more. Now we got to learn a lodging system. So, but yeah, that's a definitely good point.
I kind of want to bring up this other point around administrative activities, which is like goes back to tracking and how hosts don't like to track, and they don't like to do anything. And with software, and certainly software like Trio, all that tracking happens just like that. So it's not the host that's actually doing any of that. Nick, Lindsay, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, everything's just become so much quicker, and it is, again, I say, as long as I provide them the tools that they need to be successful and kind of take down the barriers and remove all the obstacles so there's no excuses left, then we're all going to be successful. And so if they've got this tablet that they can use at their fingertips, they are able to communicate or to log everything. Not only that, when they make phone calls, as long as they're logged into the system and pick up the phone, it's logged automatically in there. And as Nick mentioned earlier, it tells you exactly how much time has passed since the phone call started, so you can see what are legit phone calls and what aren't. And there is, a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning, and the hosts need to get used to the software. But once they are, they're raving about it and really excited about it. And it does make everything so much quicker, and it's allowed us to help them work smarter, not harder, and plan their days accordingly so that they know exactly how long it's going to take to do the phone calls they need to do, exactly how many interactions they need to have, and how much time they can spend on the floor, talking to new guests.
Yeah, it goes, yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Well, I was going to say, Bob, what you said, like the learning curve to getting on Trio. So when we were first introduced it, I was terrified, absolutely terrified, because I had somebody who couldn't turn on a computer to save their life, and then I have another person who's 79 years old, and the one finger typing. So I was thinking like, oh man, this is not going to go over well. And it took a couple minutes to get some traction, but I'm shocked at how they just picked up and ran with it. It's especially the guy. Now he's on it now, just effortlessly, and it's easy enough interface that you don't have to, it's to the point. You don't have to dig through pages and pages to find stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that was a big hurdle. I was thinking, I don't know how this is going to work, but I overthought it.
Lindsay, in the past, you've talked about the player journey at your property. What are the key interactions that you want to track as part of the host conversations with players, and how is this important in the player development process?
Sure. So our goal is to take a new high-value player and fast track them to a host assignment so they get the best experience possible, and they consider Augustine their home casino, and we get the majority of their wallet. So the hosts are logging all of their interactions, phone calls, emails, texts, and we're watching during that process. And you notice the shift to when the player starts to reach out to the host rather than vice versa. And that's when we know that there's a relationship there and that it's been built. But what else is interesting is now that we can track all of that, we can try to analyze it and see what's the formula, like what are the right amount of interactions and the right amount of calls before that relationship starts to reciprocate. And then we can sort of dial that down.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're using it to help, like not only nurture the player, but also to help as this teachable or coachable moment for the host.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. Explain. I want to take a little bit of a different bent here. Explain a time where you were able to scale your conversations with a lot of players in a very short amount of time. I think we've talked a little bit about this, but were you able to get the word out as fast as possible? And I think Nick has a really great story here.
I do. So this is a great one. Okay, so we decided to do a big infrastructure construction here at the site, and kind of on very short notice, we found out that we were going to be closed for like 4 days. So normally when something like that would happen, it would be all hands on deck. We're going to go through and call and text all of our VIPs and let them know what's going on. It just so happened that on this day, I had one person on FMLA, one person on PTO, one person on maternity leave, and the other person was sick. So it was me by myself. And so it basically told me, hey, this is what's going on. You got to let these people know. And then I was like, okay. So I'm in my office, and about a half hour later, like 4 people from marketing come down. They're like, hey, what do you need us to do? Like, we all have phones. Just give me a list of who I need to contact. I'm like, it's done. I let like 1,500 people know exactly what was going on and answered all of their follow-up questions in less than a half hour. So it was great to see their panic on their face of like, what do you need me to do? Frantic. And it's like, done, man. Go get a coffee. You're good. So yeah, that was the biggest like aha moment of like, oh man, technology is awesome. Science is great. Because that would have been an all-day affair, and not only an all-day affair, we had to drop everything and just had all the hosts with just anxiety through the roof trying to get through their list as fast as possible. And the whole thing was done, and I'm just sitting there answering all the follow-up questions that are coming. Do I still get this promotion or still get that? Like, yep. I had my presets of answers, just like copy paste, yes, copy paste, no. So yeah, it was easy peasy.
That's awesome.